Peace. Peace, peace, peace. What's going on? What's happening? What's happening? This your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect. I want to talk about what's going on in the pop culture. So I want to talk about two things tonight, two subjects. Because I think it's necessary that we get on these subjects, right? About these celebrities and these serious cases that's going on. So I'm gonna talk about the T.I and Tiny case that was dropped due to statute of limitation, and I'm gonna get into that in a moment. And also, I want to get into about Nicki Minaj and her husband allegedly threatened a rape victim. So, thank you guys that have been subscribed to my channel, hitting the notification bell, subscribing, all that good stuff. Thank you so much, and thank you for checking out the video, checking out the contents, the comments, and all of that great stuff. So now, I want to start with this T.I and Tiny situation, okay? So I'm going to post up the article that comes from Billboard. All right. As you can see, that's T.I face right there. That nigga look like he high as hell. Look like he been snoring that shit. But anyways. All right, so T.I drops a new song called Fuck 'em after sexual assault case is dismissed. Now, we're going to read into this. T.I, hold on. It says T.I isn't missing words on his new song, Fuck 'em. The track comes after news broke that neither the rapper nor his wife, Tamika Tiny Harris, will face charges stemming from a 2005 incident involving a woman who alleged that the couple drug and sexually assaulted her in Los Angeles. Charges cannot be made because the statute of limitation expires after 10 years, according to the court's document obtained by Billboard. And this is what T.I has to say. It says, in the song, T.I raps, listen line, asshole, better shut that. Upset cause they ass ain't up yet. Listen, I ain't never gave no fuck about a bitch. If I did, ho, give my fuck back. Listen, I never gave a fuck about them. Pretty hoes stay in my DM. Then he goes on to say, on my life, me and my wife run this city. Can't snatch these stripes. We don't care what they talking about. Fuck them lies. It said ahead of the release, T.I teased a clip from the new Fuck 'em music video. As promised, our official messenger dropped at 1 p.m. Royal Star, go see it. Shout Lil Jon. Every storm runs out of rain, he wrote. In a statement issued to Billboard by T.I and Tiny's attorney, Sean Hawley, regarding the couple's recent legal outcome, the lawyer said Mr. and Mrs. Harris are pleased but not surprised by the district attorney's decision to dismiss these meritless allegations. We appreciate the DA's careful review of the case and are grateful to be able to put the matter behind us and move on. Last year, a second woman accused T.I of sexually assaulting her in Las Vegas in 2010. Her case was declined due to statute of limitation. T.I has since denied the allegation against himself and Tiny in a recent podcast interview with Big Facts Live. He said, why all of a sudden, after all these many years of service to the community, decades of integrity and showing people who I am, I just become a creep to people. I ain't bullshitting, bruh. Motherfuckers just want me to be a creep so fucking bad. Like my nigga, where that come from? All right, and that's the end of the article. That's the end of the article. So now let me get my thoughts on this. I want people to understand something. T.I, the only reason why T.I and Tiny charges was dropped because of statute of limitation. That does not mean that he did not commit the crime that he was accused of. That does not mean that he's guilty or not guilty of it. That means that it expires after a certain amount of years. So you're only given a certain amount of years to bring up charges against an individual when it comes down to rape. And after those years expire, you can't bring those charges up. So that does not mean that he did not commit those activities. It just means that it happened in 2005. So it's past 10 years. So that's been 16 years ago. It's past 10 years. So the case was dropped. It was dropped in California. It was dropped in Nevada. Now, we have not found any updates about what's going on in Atlanta, in Georgia. We have not found out any updates yet. Because he's been accused of crimes here in Georgia. But a lot of people know T.I and Tiny very well. Okay, so hearing stuff like this wouldn't be very surprising. Okay, a lot of people know about Tiny and T.I, so it's not a big old secret. They know about their background. They know about what they did. They know about their activities and things of that nature. Okay. But in my opinion, and I am entitled to my opinion, okay, T.I cannot, a nigga like T.I can't be trusted. I'm sorry. A nigga like T.I cannot be trusted. He's shown that he cannot be trusted based on his character and how he responds to this situation. And especially the part where he said pretty hoes come in his DM. So to me, that just shows that he's aware of the shit that he done, but he denying it because he know that it's going to ruin his reputation. T.I has this narcissistic attitude. He's very narcissistic. If anybody watched his podcast and watched the interviews that he has done, you'll see how narcissistic he is. He come off as this good Samaritan type individual. And he think because he has done community work that all of a sudden that you are you have been eliminated from criminal activities or your past deeds. Like that doesn't work. Do you know how many criminals that's done great things in the community and still do conniving shit on the low key? There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that's out here doing all this conniving stuff, especially when it comes down to something like rape, when they have females on staff, especially. Do you know a lot of them get away with that? I don't know if you guys are familiar with a thing called hush money. People pay people to keep their mouth closed. Or it's no telling, somebody could have made a threat. T.I could have threatened these women to keep their fucking mouth closed. Or could send out a warning to them. So we gotta stop putting things past an individual because of their status. We don't really know these people personally. So we have to be very cautious. Just because they might be wealthy, just because they might have a certain type of status, does not necessarily mean that they cannot do any wrong or commit any heinous crime. Especially if they have a status and reputation like T.I and have the money, they can get away with doing shit. If you have a lawyer like T.I, you can get away with doing stuff. So again, let's not get caught up on the fact that because this case has been dropped that all of a sudden he didn't do anything wrong. That's a misconception. As a matter of fact, let's look at what statute of limitation is. All right, let's go ahead. Let's pull it up. And again, peace to everybody in the chat that's watching. Okay, let me. All right, statute of limitation. A statute of limitation, known in civil law system as prescriptive period, is a law passed by legislative body to set the maximum time after an event within which legal proceeding may be initiated. When the time which is specified in a statute of limitation passes, a claim might no longer be filed, or if it is filed, it may be subject to dismissal if the defense against that claim is raised that the claim is time barred as having been filed after the statutory limitation period. When a statute of limitation expires in a criminal case, the court no longer have jurisdiction. Most crimes that have statute of limitation are distinguished from serious crimes because these claims may be brought at any time. And goes on to say, in civil law systems, such provisions are typically part of their civil or criminal codes. The cause of action dictates the statute of limitation, which can be reduced or extended in order to ensure a fair trial. The intention of these laws is to facilitate resolution within a reasonable length of time. What amount of time is considered reasonable varies from country to country. In the United States, it may vary from state to state. Within countries, the statute of limitation may vary from one civil or criminal action to another. Some countries have no statute of limitation whatsoever. Analysis of statute of limitation also requires the examination of any associated statute of repose, tolling, provision, and exclusion. All right, so now getting that out the way, you only given a certain amount of time to bring up charges against individual. All right, so this is why it is important, especially for the rape victims, to not wait for so long to tell something, because by the time you say it, it'll be too late. The charges will be dismissed, it'll be dropped. And it's hard to get those cases. It's hard for those cases to come back up. Once they drop, they drop. So you have to let it be known ahead of time. Now, women probably were afraid to speak out because, again, somebody like T.I or who have T.I status, they can get away with it. They can get away with it. So if you're going to press charges, you better do it beforehand. Don't just wait till years later, all of a sudden you say something. Because it's not going to get taken care of. So now this person going to get away with it. You're not going to have no civil case, nor you're going to have any criminal case. And that's the worst part about it. That's the worst part about not having justice, is a statute of limitation. That is the worst thing that could ever happen to somebody that has been victimized of a heinous crime. That would get you. It can get you. So, as a matter of fact, let me look up and see if Georgia has a. Give me. All right, so let me post up the one about Georgia. So right here, I'm on statelaws.findlaw.com. And it says Georgia statute of limitation. State and federal courts have time limited for either filing a civil complaint or formal criminal charges, which are intended to ensure the integrity of evidence and to prevent people from throwing lawsuits indefinitely. These time limits are called the statute of limitation and typically differ by type of civil claim and criminal charge. In Georgia, there is a 2-year statute of limitation for personal injury, fraud, and medical malpractice claims, but personal property trespassing and debt collection claims have a 4-year limit. For Georgia criminal charges, there is no limit for murder charges, but a 2-year statute of limitation for misdemeanors. Choose a link below to learn. Okay, so let's look up for the criminal case. All right. So here it says prosecutors have the time limit for filing charges against defendants called statute of limitation. The main reason for these limits is to ensure that convictions are obtained with evidence, whether it is eyewitness testimony or physical evidence that has not yet deteriorated. In other states, Georgia criminal statute of limitation law allows longer periods of time for rape, crimes against children, and other offenses where victims may not report the crime until years later. All right, so while the statute lists specific felonies and their corresponding time limits for bringing charges, those not listed have a 4-year statute of limitation. All misdemeanors have a 2-year statute of limitation. All right, so okay, it says down here, if DNA evidence establishes who committed a crime of armed robbery, kidnapping, rape, aggravated child molestation, aggravated sodomy, aggravated sexual battery, there is no time limit for starting the case. All right. Okay, so let's look under felonies. All right, so there is no time limit for murder cases. Cases for forcible rape must be started within 15 years. Cases for other crimes punishable by death or life imprisonment must start within 7 years. Cases for other felonies must start within 4 years. But if the victim is a minor, the time limit is 7 years. So in this case, when we talk about rape, it must start within 15 years. Cases for other felonies must start within 4 years. So according to Georgia statute of limitation, you get 15 years grace period to go about reporting a crime such as rape, right? Forcible rape. But then for other felony charges, you got within 4 years to report it for other felony charges. So again, this is why people got to make sure that is their business, their responsibility to report these crimes immediately. Like, don't wait 20 years later, because then it'd be very complicated. Because then you ain't got enough evidence. You either have eyewitnesses or those eyewitnesses may not be around. You know what I'm saying? So it's very complicated to either go about the process of dealing with a case like this. And it may be traumatizing to a victim because they don't want to speak on it. They don't want to deal with that. They want to try to forget about it and never bring it up. But if you want justice, you got to be on top of it. And that's for sure. So that's all I wanted to say about T.I. I don't want to stick too long on here. But yeah, T.I. is one of those guys that's very narcissistic, or what is called narcissistic personality disorder. So T.I. gotta feel like he's a star of the show. Okay, he gotta feel like he's a star of the show because he did some type of philanthropy work for the community, as if that would prove that you have not committed any heinous crime and you never did anything wrong in your past. That doesn't prove anything. Okay, that's one thing to do great work, but you can still do some low down dirty shit behind closed doors. And anybody know about the music industry? There's a lot of dirt. There's a lot of dirty shit goes on in the music industry. Now let's get to the next case. All right, then. This next one right here. Oh God, this girl here, and that's her husband. Oh goodness. Okay, this come from slmag.com. Nicki Minaj and her husband associated accused of threatening rape victim's life. It says Nicki Minaj and her husband Kenneth Petty have been hit with hefty claims from Petty's alleged rape victim, who filed a lawsuit last month accusing the couple of harassment, intimidation, and several other charges. Jennifer Huff made an appearance on daytime talk show The Real this morning on September 22nd and has revealed that not only was she harassed, but her life was also threatened by an associate of Nicki and her husband. Petty was charged with first-degree rape in 1994 after Huff informed police that he raped her in a home in Jamaica, Queens, after holding her at knife point near a bus stop. With them sending people to negotiate numbers as far as money is concerned with family members, the victim explained when asked how she was tormented by the couple. And Nicki was the one who personally reached out to me in regards to helping them in this situation. And then the threats that I received because I kept saying no to every offer, to every suggestion. The last incident was when one of their associates put $20,000 on my lap, and I still kept saying no. The last message I received was that I should have taken the money because they're going to use that money to put on my head. And then it goes on to say Huff accompanied on the program with her attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, the legal counsel for several of T.I and Tiny Harris sexual assault accuser, also opened up about why she has chosen to speak up after being silenced for so many years. I'm tired of being afraid, she told the show's co-host. I feel like the action that we're taking in regards to this whole situation have put me in a different type of fear at my age now. And it was wrong, and I don't want to be afraid anymore. So the only way to not be afraid is to continue to speak up. All right. So I'm going to stop there real fast. I'm going to stop right here. And then I'm going to go back and read the paragraph. But to tell somebody they should have taken it $20,000 and then tell them that if you didn't take it, it was going to be put on your head. That's a felony right there in itself. And according to her, Nicki Minaj was the one that sent that message. And then they sent somebody to let her know that, hey, basically keep your mouth closed. Don't say anything. This is why people don't like speaking up. This is why people continue to live in fear. This is why people turn to drugs and alcohol as a way to comfort them, as a way to get these things off their mind. Everybody ain't lying on these celebrities, man. Y'all put these celebrities on the pedestal, on the high horse, And then when somebody say something about them, point them out, somebody that knows them personally, especially somebody who had personal encounterment with these individuals, the first thing that the people out there want to say, oh, them folks lying. They don't know what they talking about. Wooty, wooty, woo. How do you know? You weren't there. You only saying that because you like these people. You are fascinated by them because they your favorite artists and you listen to their music. But you don't know these people personally. You don't know what they did behind closed doors. There's numerous of stories where victims, especially those who were supposed to be a potential artist coming into the industry, it's so many stories where a lot of them done gave themselves up because they wanted the fame. A lot of them were forced to do things against their own will. A lot of them were paid a certain amount of money. A lot of them did not receive any type of credit. You hear stories like this. This story is very common. And these are coming from artists or people who were potential artists that has worked on these big names, and they know all the dirty secrets. They know all the shit that goes on. So what I'm saying is you can't put shit past nobody when it comes to stuff like this. I refuse to put anything past anyone when it comes to a situation regarding to rape and murder. I won't put anything past them because at the end of the day, you got to look at they're humans. And they have this big, gigantic ego. You can't put nothing past them. And for this woman to have to constantly live in fear because some pretty tame bitch ass female rapper telling her that she gonna put 20 on her head, 20K, because she didn't want to keep her mouth closed. That's problematic. That's very problematic. And then wait a minute. If you guys remember that Nicki Minaj had a brother that was a pedophile. He was a pedophile. And she knew he was doing this dirty shit, allegedly. She allegedly knew that he was doing all this dirty stuff, but she tried to take up for him. So this ain't no surprise. This shouldn't be no coincidence. She married a man that's a pedophile and have a baby by him. And tried to hush the victim up because she feel like this victim is trying to sabotage their marriage when he was doing fuck shit before they even got married. And then she already dumb as shit. She said something real dumb about the vaccine. So you don't know what they put inside those vaccines. Well, you didn't know what they put inside that the damn you don't know what kind of chemical they put inside of them damn needles when you was getting the butt ingestion. So what type of argument are you making? What you trying to do? Discourage people from taking vaccine? And then also she made a threat to the Trinidadian journalist. You know, this the worst thing you could do. Why would you do some fuck shit like that? You already in high. Well, why in the fuck is you sit up here making threats to somebody that's a victim? You should at least stand out the way and say, you know what? We'll just deal with this in court. We'll deal with this situation in court. Just handle this situation in court. But you gave yourself a bad name by going after this person, and you weren't even there to witness. You don't know what the fuck was going on. You weren't there to see that this man was doing some shit. So you can't really say that she's lying because you don't really know. You don't know what the fuck happened. You only taking up for him because that's your husband. And there's plenty of women out there that's just like Nicki Minaj. There's women out there that's just like her, that have the boyfriends and the husband that you know that done did some pedophilia ass shit that was rapist, but they still cover up for these motherfuckers. All because they want monetary resources, they want the security, or they so in love with them that they too blind to see that the fuck shit that these niggas out here doing until it happens to one of their kids. And then when it happens to their own kids, they still want to turn a blind eye. And that's the part that it baffles the fuck out of me. Like, what the fuck is you? What is you doing? Why are you so gullible? But let me go ahead and continue with this article because I want to read something else. Right? Okay. All right, it says Jennifer Huff also shared the Halloween details of her sexual assault. It was September 16th of 1994, she recounted. It was a Friday morning. I was on my way to school, high school. I seen him at a bus stop, and I didn't think anything of it other than there goes Kenny across the street. And he asked me where I was going. I said I was going to school. I asked him where he was going. He said he was going to school too. I might said something like, yeah, right. And I turned around from him to look for, we had dollar vans back then. So I was looking for the bus or the dollar van. And before you know it, he was grabbing a hold of my jacket. Huff continued, I felt something in my back, so I assumed it was a gun. And I started walking, and I'm pleading with him the whole way. I'm trying to understand what does he want. And we get in front of this house that might have been the second or third house from the corner, and he kind of reaches up behind me with his foot to push the door open. He pushes me up the stairs. We walk up the stairs, and now I'm crying because now I'm inside. We walk up the stairs, and I'm continuously pleading with him. I'm asking, what do you want? And like, if you just want me to chill here with you, I will. Petty's alleged victim also shared, and then he said, I knew what he wanted. He pushed me down on the bed. We wrestled for my clothes because all I could do was hold my pants as tight as I can. I don't know why it didn't dawn on me to really fight. I just held on to my pants, and he held my arms down. He squeezed the sides of my stomach so hard, and so I let go. As soon as I let go, he grabbed my pants. It was like a tug of war. After a while, I just got tired. I just felt maybe if he hurry up, I could just hurry up and leave. After he got off top of me, he stood in the mirror and he beat his chest. And he said, I'm the man. I'm the man. And so I'm asking him, please let me go. I won't tell nobody. And it says Huff added it. He went to light a cigarette, and I thought maybe I seen a roll of toilet paper on the dresser. I thought maybe if I light the cigarette, I could get the match to set the toilet paper on fire, and it went out. I squirted his contact cleaner in his face, and he was like, thank you for wiping my face. And at that time, I just seen this big plastic bottle, almost like the bleach bottle, and I just took it and swung it at him with all my might. And when he went to get duck, I pushed him, and he fell between the beds. I just ran, and I kept running, and before I knew it, I was in front of my school. Oh, woo. This is rough. And it says, Jennifer Huff, the woman suing Nicki Minaj and her husband, Kenny Petty, over allegation, including witness intimidation and harassment, opens up about the lawsuit and speaks out on being pressured to recant her statement about her 1994 sexual assault. And when asked by the Reels, Garcelle Beloves, however you say her name, I'm not good with foreign names. When it was announced that Kenneth Perry was Marrying Nicki Minaj, what was your first thought about the news? Huff replied, I was so afraid of being found out. I was so afraid of being known as the person he violated, and I didn't want that. It's Nicki Minaj. Ooh. Uh, uh. That was rough. That was very rough. Um, that's just rough. That's rough to read. I mean, and then just imagine that somebody that you admire marries the person that raped you. Someone that you admire. Because obviously she admired Nicki Minaj. And Nicki married this man that raped her. From that day forward, that's when you will lose all respect. This goes back to the segment of the video that I did previously about why is that sexual predators are being protected more than the victims. Why are they being protected? Why do they receive special treatment? And the victims have to live their life looking back on the past situation, looking back at what happened, looking back at the traumatic experience, looking back at the person traumatizing them or assaulting them repeatedly over and over again. They have to relive that in their mind. How can a person that's been victimized know how to be able to move on with life without even thinking about those particular situations? How can they move on? How can they get past it? And I know this is rough for this woman. She can't even get past what happened to her. And then happen to see a man married to a superstar, a big time rapper, is just disgusting. It's a flashback. I feel like this. When it comes to victims of this situation, nobody really cares. They only care about those who are predators. It's not too much care for, well, I shouldn't say nobody cares. I would say that not too many people show compassion for the victims as much as they show compassion for the predators. Now, real quick, I just wanted to say something. Somebody had tried to make some commentaries on my previous video about why sexual predators are being protected in the community, and they try to find some type of justification, and I wasn't really going for it. Now, I know this person put somewhere in the comment section that 97% of them who were sex offenders don't repeat the crime, and I totally disagree with that, because there's still a strong possibility chance that they will commit a crime. They will repeat those crimes, which is called recidivism. So I disagree. And then this person also put 25% of the sexual predators are children, or sex offender are children. Until I can see proof, I don't believe that. And let's just say the argument was true. Okay, you say 25% are children. They are sex offenders. Where did they learn the behavior from? Did they just wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm just going to be a sex offender. I'm just going to No, where did they learn it from? Children learn things from adults. So when it comes to sex, they learn that shit from adults. Or they learn it from other kids, but those other kids learn it from adults. Especially if they're small children and they acting on in a sexual manner, they learn it from adults or from teenagers. Now, if it's teenagers that's doing the shit, messing with other kids, then they need to be treated as adults because they know better. You know better not to mess with little small children, especially, or somebody that's very vulnerable. This is one of the reasons why I'm a big advocate for sex education in the public school system, especially in these middle schools and high schools. Because not only you teaching about reproduction, sexual transmitted disease, but you're also teaching about rape, date rape, molestation. And molestation and rape should be taught in the elementary school to kids. If there's a situation where you happen to come across a stranger, don't talk to no stranger, don't jump in the car with no stranger unless you know that person. Teach them that at a young age. Or also, if somebody touched you inappropriately, you should be able to go to a law enforcement or to an authority and tell them that you have been touched. But coming from the community that we come from, you know what we was taught? Let me tell you what we was taught to do most of the time. We was taught whatever goes on in the house stays in the house, and we're not allowed to say anything, especially to no law enforcement, because most of our people, we do not like law enforcement. We don't like law enforcement interfering with our personal matters. We don't like that. And it's understandable because of our history dealing with police, especially police brutality and stuff like that. But when it comes down to things that are very necessary and something that's very serious, you have to bring these things to light. You can't just shove it under the rug and think it's gonna magically go away, because it's not. At some point in time, it's gonna be brought up. Now I would say this: as kids, we have done things that we weren't aware of. We didn't know any better because nobody ever taught us. Nobody nobody ever sat down and had the conversation with us. I told my nieces at a young age to not sit on any man's lap, not even her uncles. Yeah, and not even just men, just anyone, period. Just anyone, period. Not just men. Because you got women who are pedophile too. You got women molesters out there as well. You can't just sit on just anybody's lap, and whether it be a man or a woman. It's just, oh boy. Oh boy, man. See, these topics are very tough to talk about. It's like you gotta take a deep breath. You gotta inhale and exhale. You gotta relax, relax, release, and relieve. As Joyce Littell would say, and anybody that know about V103, Joyce Littell, Quiet Storm, she would say, relax, release, and relieve. Relax, release, and relieve. Because when you have these conversations, it's very tough, and it can bring about a lot of emotional memories, especially to those who have been victim and who can relate to those crimes. But these conversations gotta be had. It's much needed. It has to be had, especially when it comes to children. Sex education gotta be talked about because the kids, when they go to middle school and high school and they reach the age of puberty, they're gonna start wanting to experiment, and they're going to be curious about what it's like to have sex and stuff like that. So you have to be able to teach these things to these kids. So if the public school system would incorporate these things, or the school system in general, whether it be public, private, whatever, if they bring these things into light, then I think it will bring more awareness to the kids. So kids will be more aware about sexual transmitted disease, date rape, um, violent sexual assault, reproduction, all these different things. And I'm glad, I'm fortunate enough that I took sex education while I had the chance to. I was in middle school, I was in the sixth grade. You know, it was a requirement that we had to take it. The only thing we had to get permission to was to watch the videos. That was it. That was the only thing we had to get permission for, because the video was pretty graphic, because it was showing the reproductive body organ, showed the female's body part, the male's body part, etc. We had to watch those things. I mean, we had to get permission to watch them. But as far as learn about sexual transmitted disease and sex and all that, that was a requirement. We had no choice but to learn that. And I was so thankful for that, because that really helped me. That really helped me out a lot. That really exposed me to a lot of things. So I was able to learn early on. I was able to learn early on. So I'm grateful for that. Um, I really am. But that's all I wanted to speak on tonight. That's my subject. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. You can share this video, hit the notification bell. You can have this conversation. So it's going to be more topics like this. It's going to be more and more topics like this. Trust and believe in the near future. It's not something that is just going to be turned away. It's going to be more conversation regarding to this subject matter, because it got to be talked about. It's got to be exposed more often. In some cases, it seems religion prevents sex education from being discussed. Yes, you got some religious institute that don't want to talk about sex education because of the standards they have. But even at the end of the day, it brings some hindrance. It brings a lot of hindrance when you don't have these conversations. That brings hindrance, because everybody's not going to be celibate. Everybody's not going to remain a virgin, okay? Or everybody's not going to remain abstinence. So you got to have these conversations. These conversations got to be brought into the forefront. So it does the person no good, especially if the parents is very strict on their kids. It does them no good, because being too strict is going to cause them to become rebellious, and that's a fact. It's going to lead them into a state of depression, and you don't want to make your kids depressed. You want to be able to have an open and honest conversation with them. It's not going to be easy, but you got to have the honest conversation. You know? But anyways, you guys, this your girl Tiffany, and I'm gonna go ahead and log off of here. So you all have a good one, and until next time, please take it easy, please be safe, and please be mindful. All right. Peace, power, and elevation be to all of you. And I'm checking out. All right. Thank you.